Emissions from diesel cars are responsible for tens of thousands of early deaths across Europe every year. Since Volkswagen admitted to cheating on vehicle emissions tests, many other car makers have since come under suspicion. In reality, new diesel cars are still emitting many times the official limit. With so much evidence against diesel, why do we here in Ireland have such a love affair with this filthy way of powering a vehicle?
Geraldine, tell me, why are diesel cars so popular here in Ireland?
In 2008, the government at the time, which were the Fianna Fáil and Green Party coalition, took the decision to change the VRT and motor tax system. Now, at the time, it was based on engine capacity or engine size, and they moved it to one based on CO2 emissions. So immediately it benefited diesel cars. And over the last 10 years, the diesel sales have continued to be inflated because of that preference.
Are we starting to see that the sales of new diesel cars are actually coming down again now?
In 2016, 70% of the market was still diesel. In 2017, 65%, so there hasn't been much of a drop. Because of Brexit and the drop in sterling, there has been an increase in imports. Now, the problem in the UK is they're facing a very, very serious air pollution problem, and they've taken, proactive measures against diesel cars. In London, for example, they brought in the toxicity charge last year, and this is basically a charge on top of the congestion charge for people driving old diesels and old petrol cars. And now it looks like they're going to bring in more additional taxes. Some cities are going to ban diesels. So as a result, diesel car values have fallen quite drastically in the UK, and the sales are dropping. That's why we see a much larger proportion of imported cars being diesel than petrol. And the worry, I suppose, is that Ireland is going to become a dumping ground for the UK's unwanted diesel cars.
So then what are we supposed to do with this? I mean, the government are the ones that encouraged us to buy them. How can they now discourage us?
Yeah, whatever the government decide to do, they have to be mindful of the fact that they persuaded people to buy diesel in the first place. But what 2008 does demonstrate is you can change buying habits by changing the tax system.
Our tax system, which incentivises diesel-powered vehicles, will continue to drive up air pollution. Surely this just doesn't make sense. As we've seen in the UK, even short periods of roadside exposure to diesel emissions can be high enough to cause acute health effects. I'm here in Trinity College, where a research project funded by the EPA is currently investigating the impacts of diesel vehicle emissions in Irish urban environments.
So Meabh, then tell me a bit about what we're going to see here.
So I'm going to take you to one of our two monitoring sites. This one here is located on Pearse Street. As you can see, it's a roadside location with a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
So I'll take you into the
Not the
equipment
nicest
now.
location,
Yeah.
probably.
So this is the setup that we have on Pearse Street. Our monitor, it's a pump that operates at 3.5 litres per minute, which is the same average breathing rate.
So is the idea sort of if I was standing on Pearse Street and just breathing for a full 24 hours, what you're getting on your filters is what my lungs are going to be taking in?
Exactly.
So you've one site here, right in the busy city centre, is that right? And then where's the other site?
So this busy city centre traffic site, we're comparing this site here to a more residential site in Phibsborough, north of the city centre.
Okay, I suppose let's get these filters out and have a look and see then what's going on with our lungs, will we?
So here are the filters that were collected yesterday, so we can go and have a look at these.
So then when you take your filters back to the lab, can you actually tell the source of the pollution on the filters?
Yeah, well, that's the overall aim of this research.
And what kind of sources then are you getting?
So firstly, you're going to have a big industrial background source, then a major source from domestic burning of solid fuel for residential heating, and then motor vehicles, in particular older diesel vehicles, are a significant contributor. So to give you a bit of context first, here's a set of blank filters that have no sample collected on them, compared to the 24-hour sample that was collected in Phibsborough and the 24-hour sample that was collected on Pearse Street.
It's really, really obvious difference, isn't it? I mean, this is so much darker.
Visually, it's very striking, the amount of black carbon, particularly, that was monitored at Pearse Street.
And then tell me a bit about what you actually weighed in these two different samples.
The average 24-hour mass that we collected in Phibsborough is 9 micrograms per metre cubed, and that's compared with 40 micrograms per metre cubed at our Pearse Street location.
And there's around about 4 times as much then particulate matter on this as there is in the Phibsborough one, is that right?
Yeah.
God, you can absolutely see it there. So maybe that's the thing in Ireland, isn't it? We feel like we actually do have very good air quality, and I know that on average we do, but there are certain micro-environments where the air quality is genuinely very poor, isn't that right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on Pier Street, on a very busy roadside location like that, someone is going to be exposed to much higher levels of particulate matter pollution.
The study is still ongoing, but preliminary results indicate that diesel is indeed a significant factor at the Pier Street site. And if you think you're safe because you're inside the diesel-powered car, you'd be wrong. Many studies have shown people travelling inside cars are actually exposed to far higher concentrations of pollution. But emissions from engines aren't the only threat.